This cut is a basic clipper and clipper over comb cut. The cut will have a tapered neck and sides. It is a versatile cut because it can be styled straight back or parted on either side. It can also be combed into a pompadour or more conservative business style. I will be using my curved comb and clippers to work with his natural hair texture and create a nice shape and blend without the need for additional tools. I will start from the bottom of the natural hairline using a number 3.5 blade on my rotary motor clipper. As I push the clipper up the back of his neck, I gradually wedge the clipper off of his head at an angle right below his occipital bone. This will ensure that I have enough space to blend the 3.5 with the longer hair towards the colic. The 3.5 will also guarantee my starting point around the head is even. It is a nice length to start with because the hairline on the side will be dark but neatly cut. The visibility makes the lining around the ears and sideburns easy to see as you define that edge. As I cut around his ears, I hold the clipper at an angle so the hairline is at a 3.5 but immediately gets longer above that line. Before I start to cut the clipper over comb portion of this cut, I will dampen the hair. I do not want it completely soaked. The reason I dampen the hair is so my comb can easily move through the hair as I cut. I do not want to drastically change the weight of the hair. I also do not want to hide any imperfections while I'm cutting. Water and styling products have the ability to hide flaws in a haircut. To start out with the clipper over comb cutting, I will use a number 1 blade on my rotary motor clipper. I will use the section cut with the 3.5 blade for my starting point. To make sure my initial clipper over comb stroke is precise, I will brace my comb by putting the spine directly on his head. That will create stability and keep me from making an error in the length of that first stroke. With the comb stabilized and the spine horizontal from the floor, I hold a comb at an angle with the teeth away from the head. The earlier clipped hair should be barely poking through the teeth next to the spine of the comb. In the initial clipper over comb strokes, I will be holding the comb still. Once I get into the longer hair, the comb should be moving slightly as the clipper cuts the hair. I start in the middle of the back. As I progress, I will cut the middle, then one side, and then the other side. I do this because cutting an entire side and then going to the other side makes it difficult to judge the symmetry of the cut. If the hair is long enough on the sides to be combed over the previously clippered hairline, I will do a quick trim around the ear so I can see my 3.5 starting point. I will protect the customer's ear by pushing it down with the comb while I'm making my initial clipper strokes over the ear. I use the same principles in cutting the side as I did in the back. I will use his head or ear to stabilize my comb's spine and angle the teeth away from the head. As I cut the sides, I will maintain the guidelines I used on the bottom of the side as well in the back. After the initial strokes at the bottom of the sides, I will change the angle of the comb to perpendicular with the floor. The lower part of the comb will be touching the previously clipped hair. I will hold the comb nearly straight up with a slight angle away from the top of his head. The bend in the comb, along with the curvature of the client's head, will automatically create a nice blend from the bottom to almost the top of the sides. Now that the lower to middle portion of the back and sides are done, I will move to the upper portion of the back. As I continue to move up the head, I will use the hair I previously cut as my guide. I start out at the occipital in the back. This section will go up toward the colic at the back of the crown. Because the head curves away from me, I will no longer need to hold my comb at an angle with the teeth pointed back toward me. The comb's teeth will go straight up. The head's natural curve will mimic that angle in this portion of the cut. I will continue to cut while slightly moving the comb up against the hair growth. As I'm cutting the center of the back, the comb will become parallel with the bottom of the neckline. While my comb moves away from the center, I will angle my comb to be slightly higher towards the sides and lower in the back. The comb's angle will be close to the same angle of the client's hairline around the entire neck. This will make it easy to blend the back with the sides and will also serve as a cross-check to eliminate the lines that occur when only using horizontal or vertical angles with the comb. While transitioning from the higher portion of the back to the higher portion of the sides, I will turn my comb vertical. My guides will be the back portion I just cut and the lower portion of the side. I will keep the comb moving away from me as the clipper cuts. Much is the same as the rest of the cut, I will be combing the hair on top toward me and then away from me as I clip any overlapping hair. At the same time, I need to make sure that the hair around the cowlick is not so long that it overlaps the hair around it. In this step, I will cut to the peak of the crown of the client's head. The hair will continue to get longer as the comb nears the front of the head. Because of the natural curve of most people's heads, on 90% of my cuts, the hair will be the longest at the front of the head. Once I have reached the peak of the crown, I will move to the side of the top. Once again, I will take a small section and comb it toward me. I'm always combing down the hair to see what overlaps my previously cut sections. Then I cut the overlapping hair off as I push the comb away from me. As you can see, I start with my comb held horizontally. I will be using the hair beneath these sections as my starting point and attempt to blend it in with the hair on the peak that I cut in the previous step. I will take the sections into the center of the top and cut them from the side, making sure that the hair gets longer as it goes from the back to the front. Since I used the defined guidelines from the bottom of the sides and the center of the top, the hair should be cut symmetrically from one side to the other. But I finished the cut looking at it from the front to make sure it is exactly the length I want and cross-check the previously cut sections. I want to make sure the profile of the haircut is the shape I want while looking at it from the front. Now to clean up the neck taper and hairline. I will start the line going down his neck by using the curve right behind his ear as the guide. I do not want to push the hairline into the middle any more than I need to. That line should be as natural as possible. Additionally, I don't want to make that curve hook back towards the ear as it goes down. I will make my line go straight from that point of the curve, yet at an angle that will not change the natural hairline. Once I've made the outline for the neck, I will begin the taper. For the last step, I will fine-tune the haircut. This is when a good haircut becomes a great haircut. For this particular man, his sideburns appear darker than the hair. I will use just a few teeth on the number 2 to thin out any dark spots that were made using the 3.5. Then I will use a smaller styling comb to detail anything else that needs to be blended. My final step is to blow dry the hair back. This will truly bring out any imperfections in the shape or the blending of the cut. Once the hair is dry, I will go in and fix anything that I see that's wrong with the haircut. When you cut symmetrically, you can usually style it any way you want. This is a versatile cut on a client with nice hair. I used a blow dryer or water to style these various looks without any pomades, gels, or sprays.